question I get asked all the time, especially given what I do as a brand positioning and messaging strategist for consultants and coaches, is how do I find the words that bring clarity to what I do and resonates with the clients I want to attract? And let me tell you, this is a great question because knowing how to articulate the value you create for the clients you want to help, which is also called your brand promise and value proposition, is essential to your consulting or coaching success. These words are not just slogans or taglines. These are the words that give you focus for your business development, your marketing, and make it easy for the people that you're talking to and writing to know if they are your ideal client, or just as importantly, knows someone who is. So, if we don't know each other, I'm Betsy Jordyn. I'm a business mentor and brand messaging strategist, as I mentioned, and I'm here to offer insight on how to create a high impact, high income consulting business that you love. You can learn more about my VIP programs on my website at www.betsyjordyn.com/services. So, in this video, I'm going to go through the 3 steps to your clear and compelling value proposition and brand promise that gets people to lean in and want to learn more, and the right clients to say, "Where have you been? I need you." Let's start with the big picture of the 3 parts of your brand and value proposition. So, number one is the ideal client. This is the person you want to help and the problem you're here to solve. In other words, the context for your help or the frame of reference. Two, what you do that is unique and one of a kind. And that includes your expertise, your strengths, your differentiators. And three, the value that you create, both the tangible value and the intangible value. So let's break this down. The ideal client. This is the most important step of your entire brand promise. This is a go no go point. If you don't have clarity on your ideal client, it's going to be very hard for you to articulate the value of what you do. So your ideal client is the person that you're consulting or coaching exists to serve. So you need to have many decisions answered to get this right. You want to be clear. Is your consulting or coaching designed to primarily benefit an organization or an individual? The difference isn't whether you work with individuals or groups. It's really about whose results you want to improve and why. So, an organization, let's say, for example, Jason is a former educational leader and he wanted to do consulting and coaching for principals. So, that was a decision for him. But then there's Sari, who's also an educational leader. She wants to help parents. So, for her, she wants to work with individuals. The other part of this is the context for your help. So, this is the situation or challenge that your consulting or coaching is relevant for. It's the strategic problem you're here to solve. So, your brand promise and your brand in general is clearer when you can forge a connection in the marketplace between you and your ideal clients and the problem you want to solve. To understand context, if I say, "Where is the best place to eat popcorn?" You'll tell me it's the theater, right? Or where should I eat a hot dog? You'll tell me a ball game. If you're got a runny nose, what should you grab? A tissue or a Kleenex? Kleenex has done a very good job of creating that association in the market, even though you might use your Kleenex for a lot of other things. You might use it to, clean your computer or, blot your lipstick. But the real thing that people make the connection for, runny nose Kleenex. And if there's some place that you want to go as a family to create magical family memories and to forge connections, where else are you gonna go, especially if you have small children, except for Disney. So let's put it into business terms. So the context for leaders, like why do they need you? Are they scaling to the next level of growth? Is there a culture change? Are they transforming their market reputation? Is there a lot of change in leadership? Are there silos, stagnation? Or if you want to work with individuals as private clients, are they going through a career progression or change? Do they have some big relationship goals that they're not meeting? Do they have a creative vision or project like a book or a speech that they are trying to get out in the world? Or are they in the middle of a life stage transition of some kind? So your decision to make is not just who do you want to help, but what is the frame of reference for your consulting or coaching? What is the situation or challenge that is relevant for you and what you do? So that's the first part of your brand promise and your value proposition. The second is what do you uniquely do? And that is comprised of 3 things: your expertise, your strengths, and your differentiators. All of that combined leads to what do you uniquely do? So, to make sure we're clear on this, your expertise is not a list of skills that you have proficiency in. Like you might have proficiency in team building, or you might have proficiency in data analytics, or those kinds of things. Those are specific skill sets. It's really the field that you have mastery in. It could be lean, it could be workplace video production, it could be organization development, like my background. It could be public speaking, digital marketing, executive leadership, financial forecasting, HR strategies, leadership development, online dating, or like what I do, brand messaging and positioning. It could be entrepreneurship in general, parenting, creating learning cultures. Whatever it is, that is your expertise. And it could be formal, like what you mastered through your education, your professional experiences, or it could be informal, like stuff that you've mastered through the school of hard knocks, and what you studied on the side. One of my favorite examples of this is Denise. I use this story all the time because of how powerful it is. So Denise, when she wanted to start her business, she was a former CIO, and her thought was, is I will go and consult to other organizations who need advice on technology. But when she evaluated her life, she saw this other through line that was going on throughout her career, especially as she continued to elevate her career into where she wound up. And what she was doing on the side is she was always mentoring people. She was always guiding people. Like, her other expertise is discovering how does a Latina woman like her get to the C-suite as a CIO, which is a very unusual thing in her particular industry. She did a lot of volunteer work with professional organizations that supported executive women. So the school of hard knocks for her was really around helping rising stars like break in to these unique positions. And that was the expertise she decided to build her business on. So for you, think about what is the expertise that you want to build your business on that is most relevant for the clients that you want to serve. Like, what do you know all about that they don't know all about that they need? And the strengths are how you deliver it. You could have 2 people with the same expertise, but they do not deliver results in the same way. So your best at strengths are not connected to what you know. It's not knowledge, it's what you do so naturally and effectively that you don't even see what you're doing. So for example, how do you know when you have a strength? This is what I tell my clients all the time, is what are those things that people say, "Oh my god, you're so amazing at," and you're like, "Ah, it's nothing." That's probably when you're in your zone of genius. You could take 2 lean consultants and they could have expertise in the same area. For example, like Katie's an inspirational storyteller, whereas Tom is a strategic data analyst. So this is why there's room for all of us in the market. And then your differentiators. So your differentiators are not saying, how do I take like my methodology and figure out how is that special? That's not how you look at differentiators. Differentiators are relative to the other choices that your clients have. So one of the ways that you could look at your competition is, they might have the competition of doing nothing or doing it themselves. So you would be able to identify your differentiators against that particular competitor, or it could be with other consultants and coaches that they may have turned to, or maybe the books that they turn to. What you're looking for with differentiators are the unmet and undermet needs in the market that you can uniquely fill. So, for example, Amy is somebody who helps people in emotionally abusive relationships. So that feels like kind of deep and heavy, but stick with me because this is where you could see differentiators. So as a therapist, she could say, I help people in these kind of things and I help with stress and anxiety and self-worth and all that kind of stuff. Those are those are important pain points, but that's not where her brand position is. What she identified in our work together is she helps high achieving women in those types of emotionally abusive relationships. That's the game changer. That's the key differentiator. There's very, very, very few people, if anybody, who's talking about that unique situation around how does someone who's a high achieving type of woman find herself in those kind of scenarios, or for me, where I have found a niche for myself. Like, so as you know, in the consulting or coach and business development marketplace. So my competitors are business coaches, sometimes marketing agencies, but really it's more other business coaches, particularly business coaches who work with consultants and coaches. And everybody's moving towards group programs, which is great. Um, there's so much value in the group because it provides community. So that is their competitive differentiator, is not only do you get the knowledge and skills, but you get a tribe, a group of colleagues that will support you along the way. That's their differentiator. But where my differentiator is I have a bespoke end-to-end brand messaging and positioning service that is very different. It's like it's very personalized, it's customized. I'm not gonna help you in generic terms understand how to grow a consulting or coaching business. I'm gonna help you figure out what the right business is for you that's different. Plus I have a visual branding website design team, and I have my unique ability to put thoughts into words. So it's like one-stop shop to build your business foundation. That's different. So again, when you look at differentiators, it's not to say I'm better than everybody else. It's just this is how I'm different. And this is again why there's room for all of us. I do not believe I have any legit competitors because everybody has a place, and there's a role for everyone. So that's the second part. Now let's get to the value. So this is the value and the value proposition. So if you think about it, your client has a goal, that they have something that they want to create or achieve in their careers or their lives. When they work with you, it's not only that they achieve that goal, but then some. So when I think about mine is that, yeah, you're going to become a successful business owner faster, with a business that you actually love. Like, so I've expanded on the value. If you work with, like I mentioned, Denise, and you're trying to get to the next level, she's going to help them get to their next level of career success. They're going to break into the C suite faster with more confidence and thrive when they get there, as well as not burn out. So you think about like, I'm going to help you get to what you want, but I'm going to sweeten the deal. I'm going to enrich it. I'm going to convert your problems into something valuable and expand the value that you might not even realize you could achieve. So that's what that expanded goal is. So, what is it that your clients get only because they work with you? So, is it launching a profitable business that they love? Is it get paid to be a speaker and be seen as a thought leader? Is it land their dream job and thrive once they get there? Is it scale their business to the next level faster and without false starts and expensive trial and error? Is it to build a successful podcast following and make the impact that they're here to make? Is it to achieve greater leadership success without the burnout? So I'm going to put it together. I'm going to use the example of me, not because I'm trying to promote myself, but since you're watching the video, you'll be able to see how it might resonate with you. So I help purpose driven consultants and coaches create high impact and high income businesses that they truly love. So, one word of caution, don't get wrapped too much around the axle about finding the right words. The right words will write themselves when you get clarity in your brand positioning. And then you're going to find lots of words to express the value of what you do. If you look at my website, I got 1,000 different ways that I express myself. If I go into a networking event, I'm going to customize it for whoever I'm talking to. If I'm talking to a bunch of OD consultants and I'm at that type of networking event, I'll say, how OD consultants who are really smart at what they do and have a lot of passion for creating, people-centered organizations, but they can't seem to find the right clients and the right words. I would say something like that. If I were going to an entrepreneur event, I would say it differently. So that's the beauty of messaging. You could change it up. Right now we're in a crazy time in our world and our economy. You can change your words to relate to the environment that you're in. So you could say things like, when tech startup firms really want to start their business, but right now they are looking for investors who are really skittish to invest because of all the uncertainty in the economy. What I do is, and then you can go into how you help them raise the funds or something along those lines. So at the end of the day, a strong, standout, and powerful brand, again, is one that forges a deep connection in the market between your ideal client and the strategic problem that you solve and you and what you uniquely do. That should be your focus. So, as a quick recap, the question that I get asked all the time about finding the words to express the value of what you do is a great one. It's an important one. It provides focus and an ability to make it clear to the potential clients that we want to work with and the referrals to those potential clients who you are, what you do, how you're different. Number two, the most important of all of these steps is to make sure that your brand, your value proposition, and everything has the spotlight firmly on your ideal client and who you help. There is no hope of making what you do sound sexier. What is sexier to potential clients is how you convert their strategic problems into value, the value that they want and the value that they didn't even know was possible. And while words matter, they come after nailing your brand position. Once you do that, the words will write themselves. So, as a next step, just start with your ideal client. Really think about who is the person that you care about who sparks you to the most compassion and action. Head on over to my website at www.betsydordan.com/downloads and grab my messaging guide. And of course, if you want more personalized help figuring out your unique brand promise and value proposition, and you're just too close to see your strengths and the value that you're creating to see it clearly, let's talk. I'd love to help you. Request a discovery meeting at www.betsydordan.com/schedule. So that's it for this video. If you've enjoyed it on YouTube, please hit subscribe to my channel so you don't miss out on any of my other videos. If you're watching this on my blog, be sure to sign up for my inner circle of purpose-driven consultants and coaches and to get the latest videos, freebies, and episodes of my Consulting Matters podcast. If you're watching any part of this on LinkedIn and something click with you, share with it in the comments below. And if we're not friends yet, let's connect and say hi. And until next time, thanks for watching.